Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. Kerry Stevenson here, and today bringing you Ganesh Kumar Bangar. He is the Executive Chairman of Netccentric. ASX code is NCL. Sit up and pay some attention, ladies and gentlemen, because NCL, wasn't aware, they are Asia's pioneering digital growth ecosystem. What does that mean? It's all about social media marketing and influencer marketing and things that I really want to understand a bit more from Ganesh. So Ganesh, great to see you. Thanks for joining me on Small Caps today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's a fascinating area that I want to unpack a little bit. But before we start, first time you and I have had a discussion, give us a brief overview of who is Netccentric.
Sure. So Netccentric, basically, we own Southeast Asia, one of Southeast Asia's largest influencer marketing platforms. So what we do is we bridge influencers, social media influencers to brands. So brands like KFC, Unilever, P&G, McDonald's, Netflix, today, rather than just spend on newspaper ads or spend on TV ads, they actually spend on social media. I'm sure you've seen ads from some of these big brands on social media. But what's a more effective way for these brands to actually reach out to social media audience is not just pure ads, but really through influencers, right? So these are basically people like you and me that have a lot of followers on social media sites like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And we actually, and these influencers basically create posts that promote a particular brand in a particular way.
Yeah, I guess the old way of, the ads, because we can switch ads off now, we can, just get rid of the ads. No one's really looking at that sort of traditional advertising anymore. Do you see that this is going to continue to have a lot of growth in terms of going forward, and that the traditional ads will slowly start to disappear and more on the influencer?
Yes, so we are already seeing ad spend on traditional ads versus influencer ads on social media. So more brands are actually spending on influencers, true influencers, rather than the traditional ads, right? Because think about it, if you go back to the old days, one of the most effective ways of reaching audience is through word of mouth advertising. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? So the new word of mouth advertising on social media is basically through influencers.
And is that when did you set Netccentric up, and did you see that this was coming and that you could have a first mover advantage?
Sure. So basically, Netccentric was founded about 15 years ago by a Malaysian and Singaporean founder, and the company was listed about 6 years ago on the ASX. I'm actually a serial technology entrepreneur, so I started my first tech business in the year 2000.
Wow.
And then listed it on the Nasdaq in the year 2004. It was actually an online payments gateway in Malaysia. So I started that online payments gateway in the year 2000, right? Way before everybody else talked about payments. So I'm kind of the godfather of fintech here in Malaysia. And then from payments, I went into e-commerce because I invested into an e-commerce payment gateway. And then I built the Shopify of Malaysia that today has about 92,000 merchants with a volume of 1.5 billion US. And we were helping brands actually sell online. As we were doing that, I actually realized that there was a lot for brands to actually increase their online sales, what was important was actually influencers. And so I acquired this business about 2.5 years ago, just before the pandemic, right? Seeing the potential of influencers, and then from then actually grew this business, right?
All right. So what attracted you was understanding where the future lies, and saying, you know what, there's a changing dynamic in the marketplace.
Yes.
Talk to us about the growth since you've come on board and changed, I guess, looked at the strategy of the business going forward. Are you profitable now? What's your revenue like?
Sure. So when I came on board, the revenue was about $7 million. And last year, the revenue was actually $11.5 million. So over a span of a year, we actually increased revenues by about 45%. And we also innovated by actually creating a social commerce platform. So one of the new trends today is that people are starting to sell over platforms like Facebook and TikTok. We recently announced that we partnered with TikTok. right? So basically, we're enabling TikTok here in Southeast Asia, enabling people to, rather than just post videos, to entertainment videos or comedy videos, right? They're actually starting to get into entertainments. Now, what is entertainment? Entertainments basically means that you can sell products through those short videos.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they've actually got a whole infrastructure in the back end to enable fulfillment and payments, and we've integrating into the infrastructure and enabling our influencers to sell products on behalf of merchants on TikTok.
And that can be anything that people could sell on TikTok. So is TikTok moving away from just here's some funny videos into more of a commerce type platform? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say they're moving away from the entertainment, but they're leveraging on the audience that they gain from entertainment and starting to monetize it through selling of products. But
go on.
But to enable them to do that, they actually need the influencers to actually sell products, and they need somebody to link them to the merchants, and that's what we're doing.
All right. So where I said a moment in the introduction that your Asia's digital growth ecosystem, is that where the focus for Netccentric is, in the Asian commerce, or are you global?
Yeah, so right now we're focused on Asia and Australasia. We're also looking at the Australian market, moving some of what we're doing now into Australia as well. So we're talking to partners now in Australia on how to basically expand some of the innovations we've done here in Asia. Times have changed now, and most of the new innovations are coming from this part of the world. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
So we focus on Southeast Asia and Australia, right? So this part of the world, I think, have a lot of common demographics. A lot of Southeast Asians are in Australia as well, right? There's a lot of diaspora of Vietnamese, Malaysians, Singaporeans, Indonesians, Vietnamese in Australia, and so we're targeting that diaspora, and that diaspora is very familiar to stuff like live commerce. So our live commerce platform actually enables people to sell products on Facebook Live, right? And if you know, in China, it's expected over the next couple of years, 25% of e-commerce will actually be done through live commerce. So we expect that not only to be in Asia, we're starting from Asia, but from Asia, we're also expecting to expand into the Australian market as well.
Ganesh, what you're doing has a lot of innovation behind it. Is there a high barrier to entry? In other words, from an investor focus, I guess, where do you see other people being able to cut your lunch, so to speak, or have you got that advantage that you've got the systems in place and big brands associated with you? I'm just looking for the growth.
So okay, let's touch on the barrier of entry first, right?
Yep.
The biggest barrier that we have is our network of 15,000 influencers that we built over the last 15 years. Like,
wow.
We worked with influencers over the last 15 years. And because we work with these influencers, we've built a portfolio of blue chip brands that are working together with us, right? So the Unilever, P&Gs, KFCs of the world are all our clients, right? So that's the biggest barrier. But if you talk about growth, what we have is the 15,000 influencers that we have today. We can now leverage on these influencers to do more things, like what we're doing with social commerce. Why TikTok has chosen to partner with us, for example, right? Amongst others, is because we have that network of influencers, and we can basically bring together this network of influencers to sell products for the brands we have. But commerce is just the beginning. We're also looking into the Web 3.0 phenomenon, which is the future of the internet as well, right? Which is decentralized.
Okay. Need to stop you because I'm of a certain age where when you say Web 3.0, and I'm sure some of my audience out there will say the same, what does that mean? What is this Web 2.0 to 3.0? What does that mean? And what does that mean for your company specifically?
Sure. I think to answer that question, we have to go back to Web 1.0 first, so that the audience can get a bit of a clearer picture on what that transition is, right? So Web 1.0 basically was Yahoo. If you remember Yahoo?
Yeah, I do.
Now 20, 30 years ago maybe, right? So Yahoo is where the content was created by Yahoo, and it's hosted on Yahoo as well, right? So the hosts and the content creators are the large companies like Yahoo. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Then Web 2.0 is Facebook, right? It's social media. So in social media, basically, the content is no longer created by the host. Facebook doesn't really create content. The content is created by the consumer. You and I create the content.
Got it.
But it's still hosted by Facebook.
Got it.
So the data, the privacy is all controlled by Facebook. So all our data is controlled by Facebook. Does that make sense now?
Absolutely. Yep.
So 3.0 is where the host, that means the people that control and own that data, and the creator of the data is now decentralized. So you and I can basically be the creator of that data and own that data as well.
So it goes from, I guess, and there's been a bit of pushback with Facebook and owning our data, is for us to take the data back and it's our ownership rather than the big multinational companies.
Exactly.
Oh, that's exciting.
The challenge there is Facebook still controls the consumers, right? But a lot of those consumers are actually users of influencers or consumers of the influencers that are on Facebook. So as we get into Web 3.0, we can actually create an independent platform separate from platforms like Facebook, leveraging on our influencers and then link the brands to our influencers directly through our platform. And that's where we see the future of the internet going towards.
All right. So I'm talking to you today in August of 2022. What's your strategy moving forward? How are you going to continue the growth of the company moving forward as it transitions to 3.0? Is that good for Netccentric?
Yeah, so it's definitely good for Netccentric because of the network of influencers and the barrier of entry that we built, right? That network of influencers we basically have been helping brands basically market themselves. But today, as we go into Web 3.0, we're launching things like NFTs, for example, right? To enable influencers to partner with brands and issue co-branded utility NFTs. What are utility NFTs? So if you imagine that the NFT today to be just a picture, what people don't know is that you can actually have a lot of smart contracts, or you can actually have utility behind the NFTs. So you could program an NFT to be a loyalty card, for example. So if you walk into a KFC outlet 10 times, that NFT on your phone will now prompt you to get a 10% discount or free burger in McDonald's.
So no more paper loyalty cards. It's all on an NFT.
Yes, and we are now partnering with these brands and influencers to enable the influencers to promote this co-branded loyalty cards. So when those consumers of the influencer actually buys a burger in McDonald's, the influencer earns a margin as well.
And does Netccentric then take a clip of that revenue?
Yes, it would.
So across all those influencers, because you've got the platform, they're happy to be on your platform because of your network. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're happy to be on our platform because they earn money from us today, right?
Right.
Today, they earn money from us because we basically get brands to use them to market the brands on Facebook.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yes.
As we get into social commerce, we'll get a click from the sales that is influencers sell products on platforms like Facebook and TikTok. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Through Web 3.0, we're now going to extend that to the real world. So if people walk into a McDonald's promoted by an influencer, for example, right, they'll actually get a cut from the sales in that real world as well. So from earning a cut from the marketing sale to earning a cut from the commerce or online commerce sales to actually even the online to offline or the offline sales as well, right? So you can imagine actually owning that ecosystem, right? And that's the potential we see moving forward.
How big is this market, Ganesh? I want to understand again, you're listed on the ASX as NCL.
Sure.
How big is this market potentially, and where do you think NCL, because I think that you've been a little bit, there hasn't been a lot of marketing around, for example, to investors to look at your company. And now you're saying, guys, we're here and we're growing. And you said a moment ago, 45% last year. How much bigger can you get?
Sure. So I'm just giving you some market data now. Just give me 1 second.
And while he's getting that market data, ladies and gentlemen, if you're an influencer out there, pretty exciting, taking, I guess, opportunities back into the hands of the individual through the Netccentric platform. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, so the global influencer marketing market, just the marketing component, the first part that we're looking at, right, is actually expected to grow from 6 billion in 2020 to 24 billion by 2025. 24
billion with a B.
25, yes. And that's just the marketing component. If you then take into the commerce component and actually the O2O component, we call that the creator economy, that's going to be a lot bigger than the 24 billion.
Amazing, amazing. So what I want to know now, Ganesh, if you could, is give me 3 reasons why you think that people should sit up and take notice of Netccentric and what you're doing right now.
Sure, I think because look, we're at the cusp, and we believe that with our network of influencers, we're going to be the biggest beneficiary, one of the biggest beneficiaries of the transition of the internet from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. Facebook was the biggest beneficiary in Web 2.0 because they were able to build that network of consumers that share content with each other. And today, with our influencers or creators, as we call them now in the Web 3.0 world, we believe that we can leverage on that to be one of the leading pioneers in the Web 3.0 industry. That's the first.
Yep.
Yeah. The second is we are already making money today from our social commerce platform. Right. Last year was our first year or full year of operations of our social commerce platform, and we did $4 million of gross merchandise volume through that platform alone. Right. So social commerce is one of the other growth drivers that we're already in and that we're already making money from. And we TikTok to do that as well, which, as you know, is one of the largest platforms out there.
All righty. So that's the first two. And I guess lastly, you're profitable and growing.
Yeah, so we were profitable, we were EBITDA profitable last year. We grew 45% year on year from the year before. So we've got a very stable business, a lot of growth coming from social commerce and the transition of the internet to Web 3.0 as well. So what do you have to do?
Ganesh, it's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you today. Please come back very soon, because I think the changes that are happening in this transition from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0, I'm only just beginning to understand it, but I'm really pleased that you're trying to explain to our community out there that Netccentric's here, it's growing, it's profitable, and they're only just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. So ASX code NCL. Ganesh Kumar Bangar, great to see you, and we'll see you again soon here on Small Caps.
Thank you for having me here.